Okay, so it is currently June 25th, and I just want to give you guys a real quick update on book stuff. I have been working on it almost every day, working on the next, pretty much the final book in the main timeline of the series. Uh, I am roughly 70 pages into the blueprint. Well, at least I have the full blueprint. The blueprint has been scripted out for like a year and a half. Um, but as far as like me starting from the beginning and like working my way through and like cleaning stuff up, making sure that my notes are injected into it and making sure that the plot is going where it's going, having now finished the garden and the omnibus prologue, having finished those two, making sure everything is set to align with everything that was talked about in those books. So yeah, like I said, I'm like 70 pages into that, and I did run into my first big snag, which is from the end of the garden. No spoilers, by the way. The end of the garden's epilogue has a character that we know interacting with characters that we are made aware of, and that we have a general sort of idea of them, like they've been mentioned a lot, and basically like, hey, we want to help you with this, and then it's like, I don't want to help you, but then it's like, well, we'll do this for you, then it's like, I'll do anything you want, kind of thing. And making sure that what I have in this book aligns with those motivations and where the characters are at in that scene by the end of the garden's epilogue, which was really tough because it's like, well, how do I make sure that these motivations play out and that the story continues on the track that I'm building? And I'm like, when it comes to trying to think around plot holes, it's like, well, then this character could have just done this. Why did this character do this when that seems a bit unnecessary or redundant or convoluted? It's like, well, then these characters could have just done this to get what they want, whatever have you, instead of going through this whole rigmarole to make sure that these things are playing out the way I need them to put the pieces on the board, on the spaces they need to be in for the plot to continue where I want it to go. So, that was my first big snag, and that took me like a week to kind of sort out and figure out what I'm doing, and it should all work, it should all make sense. But it's just it was a big pain in the ass. And yeah, so now I'm moving on. I'm gonna start getting into the meat of the story. I have all like the setup, I have the premise laid in place at around 70 pages of the blueprint, which will probably be like 100 pages of the actual book. Will be like getting us to where we're like, all right, so here's our main objective. This is what we're doing, and these are the stakes, and yeah, yada yada yada. And I'm happy with where it is so far, and I do think it's going to be a lot of, I think, probably 2/3 of the book's total content will be relatively easy to write, and then that other third is going to be like, kind of thing. Uh, and like I said, we had that first big snag, and then I am worried about the final resolution, and I'm not going to get into it, but I have concerns about how I'm going to wrap it up, because this is essentially the finale of the series, and it's like, well, do I want to go with some big grandiose thing? Like, book one had a grandiose ending, and then book two had a grandiose build up with a bit of a slower, it was kind of like, it's like, oh, this stuff got resolved, and oh, we still have like 30 pages left or 40 pages or whatever, and it's just like, oh, so how's it gonna end? And whatever. So, and this is in my head, this book is going to be kind of following the same pace, roughly, as book two in a way. A little bit more faster pace, but definitely character driven. Like book one was character driven, book two was character and action driven, and this one's going to be very character driven until we get to the action scenes. I don't know. But yeah, so I have my plans. I have plenty of notes. I have a lot I'm plugging in and working away at. Um, and I am excited. I have obviously no estimation for when I'll be done with it. Probably not till probably not for like another year from now will it be ready to be published. I really want to take my time with it. You know, I started reading volume 1 of Tales from the Gas Station again, because it's been a couple years since I read it. And as I was reading, I was like, I'm getting kind of lazy with some of my writing, because reading how Jack Townsend writes is very much it mirrors a lot of how I write, or rather, I mirror a lot of how he writes and whatever have you. And I'm just going through like, yeah, there's definitely some scenes where I just kind of was pretty like hand wavy with a lot of the details, and a lot of that has to do with the character who I'm speaking through and how they perceive the world. Like in book 1, Kim, the way she perceives the world is very detail oriented, very just somber, living in the moment, examining all the little things and noting all the little things. And plus, with book 1, that had to be the case because I'm setting up the world, so I need to spend a lot more time. And as we go further in the books, there's a lot of things I don't need to spend as much time getting into because those things are already established. And then in book 2, when we have a different character's perspective, the way they see things is different from book 1, and we have already established a lot of character traits and a lot of environmental stuff. And then in this one, our window into the world, the character that we're viewing through, definitely has a different perspective on things. And yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get lost in the minutia of them being in the scene, but like I need to go back to the roots of diving into it, and really, really laying it out for everyone. So, anyways, that's my little update. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Be on the lookout and go to vengeancebooks.com. I revamped the website recently because a whole thing with Wix. I moved to Squarespace and I redid the website, simplified it, streamlined it. So go check that out. Go click around, see what you can find. And I will see you guys in the next one.